Welcome, folks, to another episode of the High Tech Podcast. This is one of your two co-hosts, William Illingworth, joined by my friend, my pal, my buddy, my confidant, my comrade, something or other.
Well, yeah,
I lost it. I was going pretty good.
On a roll, and then it just kind of it really dropped there at the end. That was
sorry.
That's
Josh.
Yeah. Hey,
everybody,
hey,
that voice.
I'm here. Yeah, apparently with a whole bunch
Swartz.
of names. That's on my business card. Everything Will just said.
My buddy, my pal, my confidant,
I was really double checking that you remembered what you said. That was really what that was about. It had nothing.
0%.
That would be a funny business card though, like all of those things on it, like, but with slashes, like my old title that used to be yours. I think that would be funnier.
Savage,
like a
savage,
good slash. Everybody loves a good slash in their title.
Hey, those were the days, man. Okay, I wrote that myself. Like I got that title for.
I also wrote the job description I have, but I did not put a slash. In the name, so I did call myself Grand Poobah of Instructional Technology. No, I'm just joking. That would have been hilarious, though. I would have
just GP, GP for short.
Just call me GP. GP, it's great. Grand Poobah.
What's that stand for? Nothing.
Well, I mean, I tell them it stands for Grand Poobah, which is clearly a official title that should exist.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Folks, this is episode 217. Wow. I
was trying to figure out if you were just doing it slow on purpose or because you lost track of where you were on the page. You couldn't remember what number we were. Was it both?
I'm going to leave it guessing.
Both? Yeah, are we going to leave it guessing? Okay, I'm going to guess you stopped looking at the page and forgot what number it was.
Oh, I looked over at the page and the number wasn't present, so I was like, I'll just do some work to remember, which I did do because
I was at least half right.
Because today, episode 216 came out, so we're recording for next week, which means it's got to be 217. But I had to do that math in my head. Math aside, as always, get on the social medias and all those good things. Follow us, like us, subscribe us at High Tech Podcast or at High Tech Pod. It's Instagram, X, TikTok, Reddit. I don't know. We're everywhere.
Smoke signals.
We post things in a few places, but we have accounts in a lot of places. It's kind of that same old, but a little bit of something new, you know. And then make sure you go over and email us, inbox@hightechpod.us for anything you want to do, like asking us questions, joining the podcast, getting on some interviews, engaging with us, or sponsorship opportunities. We love that. And our website is hightechpod.us. Every single one of our episodes has an episode page there. You can find it, like it, share it to other folks.
Well, I mean,
sometimes there's some resources.
There's no like feature on our pages, but you know, they can internally like it if they would. They want to just like it,
but
you know,
Josh, could you make us a like feature? Like, can't you just get on AI and be like, hey AI, I use Notion, give me a like feature?
No, I know, but like it doesn't have one. Like, I mean, I guess like maybe I could create an external button that they click on that adds the like icon to some kind of property.
It's like a little internal count.
But that feels maybe a bit extreme for just that end solution. You know, I don't know.
But like I just offered it to our listeners, so I feel like we need to like come through on that offer.
Oh yeah, but other people around me offer things all the time I say no to. I mean, that's true.
That's true.
Some consider that my pastime.
and your present time, but
nailed it.
I hit the hi-hat. So that's all the usual things about the High Tech Podcast. Go do those things. We appreciate it. It helps all content creators like ourselves get known, share our ideas with more folks.
Actually, Will, before we jump into our content, since you started talking about drums, I want to ask you something. Okay. So this came up this week. I inadvertently was talking about cymbal stuff. Because somehow that comes up in a conversation. Okay?
Symbolism.
Symbol? No, not that type of symbol. Symbol stuff like cymbals on a drum set. Okay.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay. So there are spectrums to cymbal sounds. Okay. What do you think those spectrums are? You know, what do you think the terminology would be?
Anything from, let's say, a crash to a tap?
It's a good try. I don't know why I'm asking this question like you would know the answer. Okay. Just a fun fact. Did you know that cymbals move from light to dark?
Oh.
That there's a light tonal sound and a dark tonal sound. And they go on a spectrum from light to dark.
They use the Force. That's what I'm hearing.
They do. Actually, cymbals are Jedis. That's...
Or Sith, apparently.
I mean, I actually kind of like dark crashes better, so maybe,
yeah,
you know, I don't know.
Oh, I didn't know you were a Sith. I thought you were a Jedi.
Well, when it comes to drums, I guess I'm a Sith. I didn't
there you go.
That's
oh, well,
random fact from Josh today. I was just talking and I said something about a dark crash, and I forgot that, like, you remember that moment you, like, know something so well that you forget that other people don't? And then they look at you like, what the heck just came out of this guy's mouth? Like, what's a dark crash?
Friday night, I was having dinner with Scott. Scott and I just grabbed dinner together. And he asked me about my master's degree. And probably an hour and a half later, I had stopped talking at him. You know, it's one of those moments. Like, he asked, okay? It was consensual. Yeah. I told him everything. He seemed to be interested, so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, people can act a lot of things, you know?
Savage.
Anyway, sorry, I cut us off. What are we here to talk about this week? It's definitely not your master's degree, because we have audiences to entertain.
Let's do it. This episode, 217, we're going to actually kind of peel back the layers, the
We're going to get Shrek on this thing.
We're going
to pull back the onion layers, you know?
Yep. Parfaits. Everybody loves parfaits. We're going to talk about what it takes for us to create a podcast epicode.
Epicode? We actually call them epicodes at the High Tech Podcast.
We spell episode with a C, and it's a hard C
it's
instead of a soft
C. It's what
C.
the cool people do in podcasting. If you're an actual podcaster, you know what we're talking about.
With the pumped up kids. So
it's like dark crashes.
The more you know.
Yeah.
Our podcast has been around for 4 years, and we've done everything from recording through Zoom and syncing audio files and a whole bunch of junk like that, to like paid softwares. We used Zencastr for a very long time because it was completely free for our purposes. And then after Zencastr, we started paying for things. We moved to Riverside, went to StreamYard, we went to Squadcast. I think that's the full roster.
We went back to Zencastr for a brief second.
I think it's Zoom, Zencastr, Riverside, Zencastr, Squadcast, or not Squadcast, StreamYard, Squadcast. Is that the?
Yep.
I think that's the sequence. So, you know, it's taken a lot for us to do those kinds of things, and even back to the Zoom stage. So we used Zoom so we could talk, but we used Audacity to record the audio. We literally would clap before every episode.
Days sometimes, you know what I mean? Like lining up. We both had Audacity on our computers,
so I could get a clap.
The clap was super important because we had to line up our audios. I've kind of forgotten about that. That was a whole system we had.
It helped me a lot.
It was great. Yeah, it was. We moved. Fun fact: we stopped doing that because we started going to Zencastr to do guests. It was the first time we had to do guests that we were like, oh, we can't do this anymore.
This isn't going to work.
We have to do something else. And so we, instead of just recording Zoom, because we hated that, we ended up getting Zencastr. It was free back then.
And you know, today I don't even know why we didn't record through Zoom. It was one file.
It was
he gave me one audio file and I couldn't edit it.
Separate audio files.
I couldn't edit the files. And I don't know if you can change that today, but back then, back in the dark ages,
there is a way now that you can record and get separate audio files.
Let's just go back to Zoom then. Jeez.
But anyways, do it through my paid work version, not our free version.
So that's why. Yeah. So so I used Audacity to edit the audio, and then we moved over to different platforms, and I kind of continued using Audacity to do the audio edits. When we moved to video, I had to upgrade from just Audacity, which was free, and I think that's when I switched over to Camtasia for the post-editing. And all throughout that, we've used Notion. Notion has been the throughput for all of the content development and the website development. But all of this, I'm kind of scooting to the end, unfortunately, but like all of this, we've gone through a lot to get the podcast to where it is today and to get our workflow that we currently have. And so there may be reasons or maybe interests about the historical stuff of what it took to get us here. But we thought we would capture how we do it today so that we could kind of give a sense for what it takes to do it and maybe even encourage others that they can do it too. Share some of the tools we're using so you can check those out. But also it's just one of these easy things for us. Like this is a lot. It takes a lot of tech to put the podcast together. Josh and I have it down to a system. We show up, we record. Yeah, and there's usually an hour either side of it of setup and post, but
it's usually we also have a board system. I'd say today we're focusing really on the AI involvement in our system.
Yes.
There's a lot of other stuff we do, like there's planning episodes and And maybe we'll show that real quick just for funsies, because I think we've gotten a flow down, other than it failed us tonight because we realized we forgot to plan something, but that's a whole other thing. Don't worry about that.
We're just a little busy. Josh has got 17 things going on. I've got 13. It's just busy.
Fine. I like that you gave me more. I appreciate that. That was a nice...
You're a dad.
Toss
you
up.
Automatically get more.
That's true, yes. So, but yes, we're a little busy. But I think we want to focus primarily on how we've gotten some AI stuff down, because I've never felt quite as streamlined as we do right now about several elements of our process, with how we prepare to release episodes. And I will say, just a shout out, if we were thinking far enough ahead, we would have included him on this. I think a big part of that too is Chris being involved now as helping with social media. Yes. There's a lot of stuff that Chris does for us now on the social media side, out of the kindness of his heart, that we no longer have to deal with. So that probably is also why it feels like it's smoothed out. And he's taught us a few things about titles and YouTube descriptions and a whole bunch of things. So, but I think we want to kind of focus, because we're using a couple different AI solutions in what we're doing. And throughout that, we'll probably highlight a couple other ways we're using a handful of tools and some stuff that we use in there. But we finally got to a point now where we were kind of like, I think we have something new to share that we haven't shared in a while, because we shared how we did podcasting. We've done that over the years as we talk about our stuff. But yeah, I think that kind of interests us in.
This is most of a two-parter then. Let's talk a little bit about how we do the recording and the editing, and then we'll talk about how you do the content development and putting an episode out.
So the first thing we do is we talk.
Yes. Surprise. Check the box. We're right here.
That's the first part.
And ironically, actually, so we've talked about Squadcast. That's the platform we're using right now to record ourselves. That's what we're doing. There's not a lot of AI involved in getting the episide recorded.
Yeah, no, though Will has done some magic stuff recently. He used audio to clean, or AI to clean up his audio from recording the other day. That was fancy.
But that's also in post.
That's post, yeah. So
yeah, and that's actually, that cues up my point. Like, we're using a Squadcast right now, but when we purchased Squadcast, I don't remember if we knew this, but we were very happy to find out when we purchased Squadcast, it came with Descript. So when you subscribe to Squadcast, you also get a Descript subscription. We didn't. I don't remember knowing that or making the decision.
The reason I know we know that is because in our other platform, we had finally reached a workflow where creating clips was not mind-numbingly horrible. Yes. Because we used to do it where, like, you would clip it, or no, you would send me the video, and then I would clip it, and it took like hours to like press this stuff. It was the worst.
So hard.
And you and I hated this, and we finally got in a workflow where I think you just out of necessity the one day in our other tool was like, I wonder what their AI clipping features like, and we were both like, oh, that was like 1 billion times better. Like
it was so good.
It was so good, and so we would use it to get a ton of clips, and then we toss those clips. That was about the time Chris was joining our team. We would toss those clips to Chris, and Chris would decide which ones he thought were the most useful based off of what we told him the episodes were about, and then he kind of handled those. So I know we knew about Descript because when we were going to Squadcast and we were leaving the other tool,
it was a big win.
We were very intentional about, we wanted AI features in clipping, but there was other stuff in there we didn't realize was going to end up being helpful. That really I'd pass over to you to share this part, because this is for context on the back end. A lot of people have asked us, like, how do you keep up a smooth process for podcasting? Because, like, listen, we're not the biggest podcast in the world by a long shot. By we're Pluto when Pluto got kicked out of the galaxy. That's what we are podcast wise.
I was gonna go and make the joke that like we're number 10 in the world, but I actually prefer associating with Pluto. I like to Pluto. Be the outsider,
but like not Pluto when Pluto got brought back in. You know what I mean? Like we're like
Pluto when he got ousted.
I think that's in my head because I've been watching the show Psych. Do you remember the show Psych? Did you watch it at all?
Yeah. Okay, I didn't watch a lot.
I've been rewatching Psych. I wasn't feeling good over the weekend. Decided Psych was my way. And there's a weird moment in the episode. Those who don't know, this is a complete side thing, but I think it's hilarious. There's a weird moment in the episode where, like, so Sean is the main character. Gus is his sidekick. He'll often leave Gus in awkward situations because Gus hates being in awkward situations. And he leaves Gus with like this random girl in a living room, and he's not sure what to do. It's the girl that's like dating Sean's dad. It's like this awkward because Sean needs to talk to his dad about something, so they like leave the room. And so Gus is just there, and Gus just looks over at her and goes, "It's a shame about Pluto, right?" And like that's the line, and it speaks to a time that was right around the time when Pluto had gotten pulled out.
That's perfect.
of planets, and I just thought that was funny. It's a shame about Pluto, right? And she just like kind of shakes her head and like turns away.
So that's the high tech podcast. It's a shame about high tech, right?
What I was getting to there is that we're not that big of a podcast, but one of the things that I think we can acclaim to is that we've been around for 4 years and we've consistently released episodes almost every week for all of those years. Now, we've taken breaks, but they were intentional breaks. We've never once had to not release an episode.
We're very close tonight.
We've come close, but we've never have in the 217 episodes
we've
that
never
we've
missed
created.
an episode. And actually, I was just talking. I went to the AV club at the Candy Factory this past Friday morning. Shout out Jason and the whole team there. 513. You guys are pretty cool.
513. Sorry,
513.
That felt like it needed something like that. I don't know.
But like we went to AV Club, and Jason's question to the group was like, "What makes you passionate about the work you're doing?" And I brought up some of the professional experiences, but then like for AV, like this is my number one outlet on media creation, editing, etc. And I was saying about the podcast, and Jason goes, "Wow, like how long have you guys been doing it?" I said 4 years. He goes, "And how much do you do an episode? How many? What's your frequency?" I was like, "Weekly." He said, "You've done a podcast for 4 years on a weekly basis?" Like he was starstruck. Like he was just like, wow. And this is great. It's very encouraging to me because Jason has done many podcasts. Yeah. And he has a couple podcasts that he's kept up over the years. But like, he's a big audio guy. He's a big podcaster. And he acknowledged that takes a lot of effort. We have done an amazing thing by doing a podcast for 4 years weekly without stopping. I agree. It was a nice little moment.
When people see the back end of our system, that is the part. If we can say anything about this podcast, we may have not massively influenced culture, but sure, were we efficient?
Yes. We did nothing well, thank you very much.
But we were the most efficient. Anyway, I say all of that because I think some of the stuff that Will and I do is actually, I've been really happy with where we've gotten. We've gotten into like a situation where Will and I like doing this. It professionally helps us as a podcast. The big reason out of the podcast, we're not pulling a ton of listeners, but professionally, a lot of stuff has come out of this podcast really well for the two of us and things. Yeah. And it's grown us as people in our jobs as well. So anyway, all of that to say is that Will and I have had to figure out a way to do this without it becoming a massive encroachment on our daily lives, because we have full-time jobs, we have families, we have other things going on. And so to do a weekly podcast is not something for the faint of heart. And a lot of people don't do it because it is a lot of work. And I love creatives, but they tend to be the least efficient people I've met in my entire life. I
would say a general majority.
I think I can say that.
Yes.
Yeah. So
for the sake of recording, editing, delivering an episode, my side of our partnership with this podcast, right? Editing is all done in Descript and Camtasia, and AI gets involved after the recording step. So there's not an active AI tool here. There may be algorithms behind their kind of stuff to like help recording latency and help the audio and stuff, but we have not turned on an AI tool to hit record tonight.
Yeah. Though I thought I just had a hilarious thought. It would have been really funny to like
CRISPR?
not be honest at this point and say this is now the moment we'd like to reveal to you that Will has been an AI this entire time. That would have been hilarious. We've missed.
That's why I keep my hands down here so you can't see my fingers.
Like Will's not real. I actually don't have a friend.
Josh has been using an AI as his imaginary friend.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, that's not true. Will is real. He's very real.
Most days. So once the episode's recorded in Squadcast, the platforms are really well set up. It's kind of cool. I can download the episodes to my computer because I do all the end editing in Camtasia. But before I do that, I send the audio from Squadcast to Descript. And the videos go over into Descript. And I can use Descript's AI Underlord. Now, I think we did an episode on Squadcast and Descript before, so we've got some of the details there, but I am going to highlight this there. I love their Underlord. It's a hilarious little joke to me. You know, everybody always jokes about the AI being our overlords, or they're going to take over the world, right? So they've named it the Underlord, and it is there to serve us. It has tons of features, tons of functionality, from green screening, face recognition. It has weird stuff where you can like make it AI adjust eyes so that someone's eyes are always looking at the camera. Like that's an AI tool available.
I don't actually have eyes right now.
Josh is an AI. See? Okay. Anyways, I'll take my bad jokes somewhere else.
That's fine.
The three tools. Hey. The three tools that I use most frequently, though, and that are like lifesavers for the podcast, are Studio Sound. That's very recent, but very important.
Okay.
Highlight Reel and Clips. So Studio Sound, you may have remembered this, audience, if you listened to episode 215. My audio was great. It was perfect, in fact. It sounded so crystal clear. Except when I recorded it, I was in an open hall with a lot of noise.
It was so noticeable because Will usually sounds like crap. You know what I mean? Like that was.
So putting it through AI, I was like, wow, Will can sound good.
Wow, this is what it sounds like.
There was just a lot of background noise, and it annoys me. As an audio guy, as the editor, I was like,
if you know Will, you can tell during the episode we're recording that Will's kind of annoyed by it, because I can tell in his face he's like not happy.
I'm looking around a lot and stuff.
I couldn't tell what it was, but you were not psyched about something.
It's fine. I did it myself. I thought I was going to a quiet working space, and I was not. I put it through Studio Sound, folks. I clicked one button. I put my audio in there. I hit Studio Sound, and it did all of the work. That output, the final audio you listened to in episode 215, was one button, and it was an AI feature. I did nothing else to it. I mean, that was fantastic. The level at which that tool does the work is top-notch. Then, every week, every episode that we create through Squadcast and Descript, I use the highlight reel and the clips feature. And so I use highlight reel, and it goes through our entire episode, and it stitches together between 4 to 6 clips up to 60 seconds from the episode of different bits that we did throughout the episode. And sometimes it's a laugh, sometimes it's just a quick piece of information, sometimes it's one of us asking a question of the other. But that highlight reel gives like a 60-second blurb or blast of what happens in the episode. I hit one button, it gives me one video. Nice and easy. Then I do, after that, the clips thing where I say, okay, give me 6 clips, anywhere from 30 seconds to 60 seconds. And if you're familiar with YouTube, that's because of algorithms, because of the sizes that they want for shorts and stuff like that. But then I get like 6 clips, and sometimes, honestly, there's always at least one dud. It's not perfect, right? So I always tell me to give it 6, because I usually get 4 to 5 good clips out of it. And I take those down, I put those in Notion, and Chris comes behind us on a weekly basis and puts out some different social media clips and posts for us, including those clips from our stuff. So, and we have a whole ton of them, so we can go back and use them whenever we want to put out like, hey, episode 213 got a lot of traction. Let's put out a few more clips from 213, and we can post those to Instagram, X, etc. So that's the big use of it. Once I've got all that done, I download to Camtasia. I do my editing in Camtasia, which I'm not using a lot of AI there. Like it's really all of that we've got down pat. I just load the episode in, trim the ends, fix a problem in the middle if I have to, put a screen recording in, and we're good to go. But that major effort for us is for social media and for engagement, getting those clips and stuff together without having to listen to the episode. Because to make a clip manually requires you to listen to the entire episode, and that is a lot of time. Yeah. That's a lot of time spent when you have families and jobs and places to be, people to see, A
lot of work. Is there, Will, curious, is there any, and you can cut this if we're not able to, is there anything we can show from Squadcast on this part? I know we didn't talk about showing this part, but I'm curious if there's anything you think is worth people seeing, right? Because I think the AI clip stuff is, and even like the some of the brief AI editing, and we've switched our transcript process a little bit recently, but you were using that too to get stuff. Like it was very quick. You were able to get a lot of stuff very quickly for us that I thought was pretty cool.
So here's a good thing. I actually had a screen up. Like this is up for a very different reason, but I was working on 215 because I didn't actually get the clips made when I did this stuff for 215. So here I actually have a bit going on where I had loaded you back in, because I only ever edited my audio. So if I go to make a clip, I need to put your audio in here. And I loaded you in and saying like, hey, who is these? You use this all the time? Or did I just get audio? No, I'm hearing the audio from this. That's what's confusing.
Oh, okay.
Me.
I was like, what are you
The clip that's on my screen is actually saying stuff.
Do I wear that shirt? I mean, I wear that shirt sometimes. I don't.
That's funny. That's really funny to me. It was scaring the crap out of me.
Really
like,
funny.
I thought,
but like, what's super cool there is Will is able to. This is not necessarily an AI thing per se, but AI is a part of this on the back end. Is you're able to like search our transcripts and stuff. Like you're able to like look through stuff in the episodes, which we were not able to do in other tools, and that's because Descript is so quickly creating and giving you live edit access to transcript versions of the episodes. Like this is what I find really cool about these newer podcasting tools, like Squadcast and Descript, is that like I've seen you do editing. This is so much more efficient and faster than the old system that we used to use. When
I could
like
literally
having to like scan through the episode to find the audio thing you were looking for, as opposed to searching for it, where you can just immediately find the text.
I can literally highlight that sentence there and hit delete, and it takes out it takes that out of the clip, right? Like it's that easy to edit this stuff. Now we don't do WordPerfect editing for our podcast, so that's not a big deal for me or for us. But
we've done it to remove things out when we say like listen, we are not like being transparent. Like we're not a podcast, obviously, that has like cursing and stuff in the episodes, right? But sometimes that happens, right? Sometimes a guest says something. Somebody's name that rhymes with Bill drops something in the episode, you know, and we have to remove. I know. I don't know who that is. We have to remove it out, you know, and like so that's really easy because we do that on purpose. We don't want to be a podcast that has to limit that stuff because that and our content of our episode has no reason to have that type of stuff in it.
Right.
So like Will's so easily able to edit this stuff. I have noticed from my side, at least, Will, how much quicker editing has happened since we moved over to Squadcast. Like you're just like moving stuff pretty quick across the board, which is pretty cool.
Now I still have to come back to this and work on it for like the separate purpose, but here's what you're talking about. So here's the AI tools, our Underlord, if you will. You see him down here in the bottom right hand corner. These are all of the tools that are available, AI tools that are all down through here. So this is how to make it sound good. Here's how to make it look good. Here's how to repurpose, create clips, highlight reel, highlights, translate, etc. For publishing purposes, right? It can help us with drafting titles, summarizing the episode, show notes, etc. The real sticker here, unfortunately, for us hobbycast folk. Let me leave that up on screen.
Like hobbits. I really like when you say it that way.
Us hobbit casters, small feet.
Us hobbycast folks. After we had our second breakfast,
exactly,
it's the whole thing.
So we're paying for like the lowest level of their subscriptions, and we only get something like 10 or 15 credits per month. And each one of these things takes a credit. So if I click Studio Sound, that's a credit, and it's used on this episode. It resets every month, so that's how it works for us as a podcast. We record 4 episodes. Yeah. If I use 2 things per episode, that's 8 credits. I've got some room, right? I've always got a credit or 2.
Editors either. Like part of our podcast philosophy has always been, it's a lot of our genuine conversation, and so we don't do a lot of editing. We're not intense about hitting a certain time limit. Although Will, in the early days of the first like 10 episodes we did, was really intense about that, and then we just kind of like stopped.
I can't tell you how
Will
long
nuts.
I spent editing our episodes in the first like 5 or 10. It would kill me. But like today, I could use this remove filler words button, right? And it would take out all of the filler words. Like
you said
whatever.
One time it took close to like 4 or 5 minutes out of a video.
Out of an entire episode,
out of an entire episode. And
so
like, that's one credit.
Also,
like if you wanted to like pull, like if you were not like us and didn't care about that stuff, and you genuinely wanted to pull that stuff out, that's like something very quick that can be done. And Will did that on a couple of our episodes when we first got this, and it worked. There were a couple times where it was like noticeable that like a clip, like the audio transition, but in a podcast format, that's actually more common than not to have that type of thing happen on a podcast. So it didn't bother me when we were doing it. I think we just stopped doing it because we had credit limits. We needed to use AI for other things, and we didn't care about the uhs and ums in our podcast episodes.
Now, one of the things is I'm not gonna run these here because I actually need my tokens. And today's September 30th, so I could just throw one out.
Yeah,
here. So I'll hit a highlight.
We get a
reel.
whole bunch of new ones tomorrow.
Exactly. Here I can say, I'm going to do a highlight reel. I'm going to say I want it to be 1 whole minute. I can choose the different layouts, and I made layouts for our brand and stuff like that. And then I hit submit, right? So then it says the Underlord is thinking. If you had passive income, you'd be rich by now. Thank you, Underlord. I wish I was. Sorry, Underlord isn't perfect. It'd be insufferable if it was. That's why it's an Underlord and not an Overlord. And then it takes all the content from that entire thing, and it pulls together a highlight reel here, which you can see on my timeline. I can zoom out here and get all the different ones. Now I have to actually apply what's kind of funky about this, and they just recently changed something. I don't know why it's doing this, to be honest. Maybe I can fix it, but here I change my layout pack. I go to private. I go to my clips. I go to multicam. Huzzah! Now it looks correct, or it should look correct. I don't know. It's I didn't start this one from my usual workflow, so something may be off, but these are placeholders, so I'd have to select now and go into my audio files and pick Josh for the bottom, pick me for the top, whatever. But each of these little clips is going to have us saying just a quick minute about it, and then what usually does happen is I review it and I listen to it and I'm like, oh, I don't like how Josh said an here, right? So I just take that one out. I come up here, I'm like, oh, it's a super advantageous thing for those. So, okay, grab this, grab that out. And so I'm pulling together this really crisp and clean highlight reel that when you hit play for 45, 60 seconds, it's just us going right at it, a couple of laughs, a couple of highlight points. And it takes me 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the most to kind of get through and do this clip, right? It's so fast compared to what it had to take for me to make these manually over the years with all the different platforms we've used. So I think it's for me, it's great.
Yeah, that's good. It's pretty great stuff. So that's our Squadcast format, right? So we'll eventually finish that up, right? He will upload it, drop in the clip. So actually, I think this would be a good chance. Let's switch over to my screen here, because I am going to show Notion here for a hot second, I think. Yes. So let me, because I think this will kind of help with the workflow. While we're focusing on AI, I think this is helpful to see. So give me 1 second while I switch over and apparently blow out my eyeballs with light mode.
A very bright page.
Yeah, this is very harmful. My browser's in light mode, so this will be a vibe. Okay, so let me share this here real quick. Here we go. Okay, so now, how this all runs is, obviously, Will and I said that's how Will's doing his editing, right? But that's not the only place AI shows up. Now, we've talked about this before, but we run the entire podcast through Notion. It's one of the ways we've kept ourselves sane. And actually, recently, we added a new workflow that up until just us screwing up in the last 2 weeks has been working pretty smoothly until we messed something up. But that was not the workflow. It was more of just a confusion about a vacation. So real quick, just side note. Every episode we create, there's like a Notion page in a project tracker that we use. That's a board, a Kanban board. If you've used it before, here's ours. So each episode is on that. Basically what happens is we have an idea section of the Kanban board where we will lay out ideas for future episodes. So you'll see some possible episodes coming on up in the High Tech Podcast. And then each night on Tuesday nights when we record, before we record, we do a handful of things. We make sure we always have at least 2 episodes where we've developed what we call the message for the episodes. So basically that's just us kind of laying out very clearly what that episode is going to be about. So if I come here and click my episode template real quick, it'll populate some stuff. We have like an outline for ourselves that we use. We always lay out what the goal of an episode is, what its key message is, and then when that's ready and we're done with that, we will move it over into outlining, and then we'll also outline the episode before we record it, and then it comes over into ready for recording. And as you can see, we're doing that with episode 217 right now. That's where we are. This is our episode we're recording at this exact moment. Okay?
And it's this little recording home.
Yeah, you can tell because Will's little Notion face is next to it. That's where Will is right now in Notion. So anyway, we do all of that. But when Will's ready, like let's say we finish this episode, it comes over to editing and titling. And this is where Will does his work. He does all that AI editing we showed you, does all that stuff. And then when that stuff is done, he drops it over into final edit and clips ready. So what he'll do, actually, let me see if I could find a completed episode page. He will do a couple things. He will drop into that episode page. clips that can be used, some other video assets. He was doing some different stuff for this Topia thing. But here you can see a bunch of clips that he created with AI. He drops it in for Chris. Chris can come back here and find it out of the Notion page and use it for clipping, and the stuff that he's doing. By the way, Chris, if he's listening to this episode, picked his own emoji. It was a lion, in case anybody was curious. That's why Chris's notes
Simba
is a lion. It's Simba. So we lay all that stuff out. He puts that stuff in there, and then he'll drop the transcript up there for me as well. And then when it's ready to move to my stage, which I don't do the editing because Will enjoys that, and that's great for him. I'm really happy for him. He's great. I love it.
He's so happy that
I have no desire to do it on a weekly basis. So when he's done with editing, that episode will come over into Final Edit clips already. So that notifies, actually, I probably accidentally notified Chris like 3 times about this because fun fact about Notion, you can automate people getting notified when things go into certain columns, and I wasn't thinking about this. But there's an automation on that column that notifies Chris and me when it's over into there, in case anybody was curious. Because Chris will look at our titles sometimes to make sure they pass the Chris standard for what we're going to be doing. But then when it's over to me, that's when it moves into my workflow. So basically what I do is we do a handful of things. So when I'm doing an episode, basically my job is to create the thumbnail, the social media images, and then the video description and chapters, and basically kind of finalize the video in our system. Will upload the edited version into YouTube and into our podcasting platform, but I have to go in and kind of finish off the episode with the other information that's in there. And so the way I do that is a couple different things. The first is actually we use Claude very heavily. This is why Claude has showed up a lot on the podcast. It's because I have access to Claude, and I use Claude for a lot of things. And one of the things that I did very early on when we got Claude is I trained it on us. Okay, so Claude has this really cool feature.
It's a terrifying statement.
You can write your own writing style. So Claude comes with some built in, but you'll notice none of you, if you use Claude, have the high-tech podcast as an option in your writing style. Maybe you do. I don't know. Maybe you're weird.
We should sell it. We should get that out there for people.
So you can create edit styles. What you do is you just add the style in here. And so what I did is I edited style manually, and I copy and pasted, thank you, Chris, for helping us create this, our entire brand page that describes our podcast's voice. Okay, so we have a brand page, thanks to Dad Ziner for helping redo all the high-tech podcast stuff last year for us. And in the process, Chris helped us kind of rebrand the podcast and develop a voice for the podcast. And in doing that, we had this entire brand kit that I could do. So I copied that out of Notion, I dropped it in, and I also added in some other instructions. Will and I at the time were in the process of teaching people how to create AI agent stuff with Dust. And so I kind of took some of those skills, Will, that you had transferred to me during those episodes. And I built this very short description for the High Tech Podcast. And I created our writing style. Okay. So what happens is I get the transcript. And so what I do is I go up and I upload the transcript into Claude. Now, there are more efficient ways to do this. You can connect Claude to your Notion and just have the transcript there. And more efficient ways to do this. You can connect Claude to your Notion. So this is what we do. Crammed text malaise to do this for me, just because it's easier. But if I type in /chai, maybe it got angry. There we go. /chai, it populates my prompt for Claude. There are other ways to do this now that I know more about Claude. I could have programmed a project or a custom thing in Claude to just always have this prompting. But this is just the workflow I got into, and it feels fairly efficient, so I just roll with it. Yeah. So I type that in there, and then the only thing I do is change out the episode number. So this is episode 216. I type in 216, and then I go down here, and I go into writing styles, and I select High Tech Podcast. And then I hit go. And then we let Claude do his thing. Or Mordecai.
As he's so good at doing. Yeah. More to Claude. More to
Claude. I like that. So it'll create an episode description pretty quickly. It creates an episode title. I don't always use the episode title. Sometimes it's great. Building virtual communities with Topia. That sounds cool. Our episode, I ended up really liking the delight and impact concept from the episode that we did with Daniel. shout out, if you haven't listened to this episode yet, go listen to it. It's amazing. Topia is awesome. Daniel was on, CEO of Topia, was on our podcast last week. And that episode just dropped this week as we're recording it. Episode 216. Go listen to the last episode. It's fantastic. But anyway, uploaded it. I liked that idea, but I was really struggling when I first created this title. Fun fact. All I could come up with was delight and impact, and I was creating the title at like 10 o'clock at Monday night after grading 30 papers, and not feeling great, so I was not in the mood for this. I was just like, I need something real quick. And so I put in delight and impact featuring Topia. I was like, that's just a working title for now. I did Claude, and Claude did something that had virtual communities in it, I think, or virtual learning. And I was like, oh yeah, we do talk a lot about virtual learning. You know what? Delight and impact in virtual learning. That seemed like a great title. So I use that, and then, but what I love about Claude is I hate writing episode descriptions, like with a passion. This is like not a thing that I wanted to do. Will was better at it, but he was too busy editing, so I didn't, I just kind of took it on, which is totally fine. AI is way better at it than Will and I. So Claude just now, I used to try to use like GPT or Notion AI to create episode descriptions, but they always needed edited. They weren't working. The game changer in Claude for me was this high-tech podcast style. When I was able to do this, these episode descriptions just started pumping out like us. I was kind of blown away a little bit by like how just dynamically it changed the episode description. And so like I use that. I copy and paste. And then the other thing I really love that a lot of people don't know this, but Will and I figured this out. If you ask it for YouTube chapters, it will create the YouTube chapters based on your transcript. I just copy and paste this, and when I'm done, this is what it looks like. So I put the video description in, and then I throw in the chapter counters under a chapter header and copy and paste. Fun fact, this looks like it's not formatted to go into YouTube. If you just copy and paste that, it is. It's just the way it looks in Claude. If I copy and paste that in, it will look like this. That's good. So paste that in, and we're good. And I use the descriptions everywhere. And then if you go to the actual episode, which I don't think I'm sharing audio, so you won't be able to hear our super cool song, you can see here, I've got chapters automatically in the video built in, and there's my full description of chapters and things. So what used to take me like a while, probably 45 minutes to like 2 hours, give or take. Like for me in an evening with other stuff, that's a lot. Now takes like 20 minutes to do. Like I get the transcript, I create this, I upload it. And then the other thing I do is we use Canva for all of our design work. And so we have templates in here. So I will open a template, use that. But the thing that was always annoying is coming up with the title and trying to figure out what would work and stuff. And Claude has severely cut that down by a lot. And so now what we're doing with Claude, I use Claude in a paid version for some other stuff. This is all, I believe, fully accessible in the free version as well. Like we don't use enough tokens doing this to like use up the free version. But yeah, it's pretty sick. I like it. It makes it really easy.
What it does for you is on the end of it all is just copy pasting to the end result, right? Like you get the title, you get the description stuff that becomes a part of the Canva thing. So you have the template, you just paste in the title and whatever. You have the episode's in place, you just paste in the description. Like, not to say that as a negative, right? Like it makes it so much easier for Josh just to deliver something that's still useful for the podcast and still gets information out there accurately about the podcast. And we're both saving so much time doing it. You know, there was a time where I'd say maybe the two of us put somewhere between 5 and 6 hours of work into the podcast in a week. Now, maybe even more. Now we probably put...
When we were both trying to clip manually, that was probably the worst it ever got. We were like really putting in a lot of work each week to try to keep up with stuff.
But if it takes us 2 hours to record on a Tuesday night and then each of us 30 more minutes, you know, to do some work to edit and get it out, like altogether, each of us puts in 3 hours a week to create each of these episodes and again, get it out to the public.
There's a lot more the two of us could probably do that would make the podcast more successful and all of those things. But like, we don't have the desire to do that. We like what the podcast is for right now, and we're good with where we're going. And so this gets the job done, and it's useful. And it's done a lot of cool stuff. Like it'll pull out topic things. Like it'll create like an outline of like topic ideas that are in the episode. Like it adds a bunch of cool stuff to the description that I've never added before that I just started pulling because Claude would come up with these cool ideas for how to put stuff into the episode. And sometimes it's dumb. I read all of this before we post it, make sure it's not making up stuff. But it's gotten pretty good at creating the things. And the chapters are the things I've been the most impressed with. The only time I was annoyed at a chapter is I felt attacked by one once. I forget what it was. It was, do you remember this? It had created a chapter that said something along the lines, I forget what episode this was. It said something along the lines of like Josh doing his normal thing, and like it was basically like accusing me of creating stupid topics in the beginning of the episode. Like that was what it was, like creating, like going off. Oh no. Josh's normal move, a rabbit trail. That was the chapter title. And I was like, good. Whoa, now, Claude, this feels
savage.
This feels a bit overkill. This is a bit rude. But then I threatened to turn it off and did a whole thing, and it tried to kill Will. It was great. No, I'm just joking. None of that happened.
Now we're all here, you know?
Yeah, now we're all here. But yeah, that's our workflow. We on that Notion board, then when things are ready, it gets moved over to done. That sits in a backlog, and then Chris, as you guys have seen, for those of you who follow us on socials, you'll see episode postings every so often, every couple of weeks, to kind of highlight the last several episodes we've done. That's how Chris does all of that. We upload all of that stuff into a Notion page, and then Chris just goes on that board, finds the images I created for the episode that week, finds the clips, all that information, downloads it, sets it up. And from what we understand, Chris's workflow on his side has been super chill as well now. He's been able to kind of just like take what we give him and create some social media posts and pushes very easily. Yeah.
It's taken 4 years to get here. It's taken a couple of different AI tools. It's taken a couple different recording platforms, but all of it together creates the Hobbycast in front of us, and it gets us moving quicker. So we can keep recording without losing the rest of our lives. That's the good part.
For sure. Anyway, folks, that's about it. That's how we use it. It's that simple. It's easy. Yes, some of these are paid tools. You don't just get them for free access. But if you're interested in podcasting, you have a little bit of funds to apply to some things. I personally think in this day and age, the best thing a podcaster can do at this point when they have some money is like apply it to some tool that's going to give them some AI features or some AI software. And if it's not Descript, like honestly, I would focus on a tool that could do more first, like a Claude or like a GPT, because you can use some of the stuff even in those tools to do some of the stuff Will's doing in Claude, or doing in Squadcast, just not as integrated. So I would invest some money into those spaces. Notion, all the stuff that we use is technically is paid for, but that's a different thing. Everything we do in Notion could be done in the free version of Notion now. So check it out. Reminder, you can find us on all the socials at High Tech Podcast or at High Tech Pod to see all those clips that Will created very intentionally for you, not with AI. You can also email us, inbox@hightechpod.us, if you'd like to be on the podcast, you'd like to talk to us, you'd like to tell us your opinions about things, you'd like to just say hi, whatever it is, you can email us, inbox@hightechpod.us. All right, folks, that's a wrap on another week. Empowering minds,
embracing tech. Cheers.
Cheers.
Buckle up, let's ride.